guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I'm doing the top 10 Kickstarters of the month. I am sorry I'm in a different area. There's a slight echo, but we're getting the video done. Before I jump into the top 10, I do have a couple of friends with Kickstarters and Kickstarters of my own. We have Slice of Life, which is about an anime character that comes to life and falls in love with a high school cheerleader. This is the coming out story, so hopefully you guys go check that one out. And we also have Beast and Snow issue 2. This is about our vampire version of Snow White and a werewolf version of Belle from Beauty and the Beast, and they fall in love. This is a really, really fun issue. You get introduced to the Huntsman as well, so hopefully you guys go check that one out. Now let's jump into those friend Kickstarters. We have MERAKI side quests, so if you're interested in not safe for work books, but also something that was originally a safe for work book, queer story, and then you're like, you know what, let's get that side quest that all those video games usually have. And I just love that idea because I like the idea of doing a not safe for work thing, but with, again, an audience that you've already built up, and I just think that's really smart, so I was very excited to back this one. And then moving on to Dark Veil issue 1, Pat Shan's been killing it on Kickstarter, and I love how much he loves to innovate and just do stuff that are new on Kickstarter, and I truly believe that's what's gonna make the platform grow. So to see him do a whole nother universe of stories like Dark Veil, I think is really important for his brand to grow, but then also, again, the brand of Kickstarter to grow. Moving on to Dusk Loves Bites. So speaking of vampires, we have David Dobe, who's honestly been so supportive of the Kickstarter community, is always there on Facebook commenting. So if you wanna support someone who supports the Kickstarter community, go check out his vampire book. And last but not least, we got White Ash Annual issue 1. Again, another giant on Kickstarter with Charlie Stickney. He is doing short stories with some of the greatest indie artists that are out there right now. Tango, who I've also used on previous stuff as well. Roberta, who's working on our Witches of Oz. You got Mick Byers, who's also done a lot for Kickstarter. So just a lot of wonderful artists, and even different female writers writing these characters. And we had different short stories from both White Ash and Galarian, and I think this is just a great way to bring back both series onto the platform. But let's jump into our actual top 10 here. So number 10 for me is Hawi, the African mythology graphic novel. It's a hardcover, and this has to do with Ethiopian history and the queen of Yodit, Gudit. I just love seeing different cultures through comic books. I think that's really important through the visual medium, and this just seems like such a well done comic, from the art to the creation of the Kickstarter. So this is one that I was really looking forward to. Moving on to number 9, which is Black Phantom and Kid Squid. We have a grayscale being used, which I like. And, you know, sometimes you get different comics, they're like, I'm gonna make it black and white, and it just looks like it's not colored. But this, you could tell, is purposely grayscale, and that's something that really made me want to check out this comic book, is just that art style, the kind of cartoony but also gritty, almost, I would say, more cartoon Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So I like that vibe that this book was giving. Moving on to number 8, which is Black Horda, and this is more of your webtoon anime inspired. This is volume 2 of this book. It has to do with a hidden world that is not in ours, and just seeing those collide here. Again, very anime and very more what webtoon has kind of been leaning into. Moving on to number 7, which is going into our direct market titles here, and that is the new Bloodshot Anthology, which is black and white and Bloodshot. Believe it or not, it's not the only black and white Bloodshot or red, whichever you want to call that series of books on this list and on Kickstarter. So this is from Valiant. Again, I love that Valiant is returning and with all these new titles in the direct market, but also utilizing other platforms like Kickstarter to do something new. I feel like a lot of times the direct market publishers utilize Kickstarter to have a reprint or do an omnibus. This is a new series that they're releasing through Kickstarter, which I think is really, really cool. Moving on to number 6, which is Occult Incorporated issue 1. I am a sucker for a family story, and this has to do with a family story that have to fight demons. I want to see the drama of brings this fantastical world to be grounded with this family element. So that just types of stories that I tend to really like. Moving on to number 5, which is HELLFORGED issue 1 through 3. This is a female point of view of the King Arthur stories, a teenage female story of the King Arthur story. And again, I'm kind of a sucker for that, where you can have an IP, twist it around a little bit, maybe tell it from a different point of view. And I think the teenage girl story honestly never gets old. So just to see a classic like King Arthur be told through that point of view with some really, really solid art, you got me hooked. Moving on to number 4, which is Crossroads issue 2. If you're looking for a horror mystery, this is one for you. Honestly, the artwork is really what sucked me in here. I really like the style. It felt very moody, and the art just looked splendid. It just felt, I guess honestly the best word to put is moody, and that's what you want from a horror / mystery story. So that's number 4 for me. Moving on to number 3, the other black and white and series. This one's Blood. So it's black and white and blood, and this is the Vampirella book from Dynamite. And I like this way of not just doing collections on Kickstarter, showcasing some hardcore great artists like MIRKA and ANDOLFO who's doing this book. There's just some wonderful talent here that is great to be shown in a short story format like this with, you know, some of their biggest characters from their lineup. So again, with Valiant, it's Bloodshot. That's their biggest character. And then Vampirella, I would say arguably is the biggest character for Dynamite. So I just like seeing that on Kickstarter and just hopefully bringing new eyes onto the platform. Moving on to number 2, this is actually a manga, and that is Senpai no Kohai. I love Yuri manga. I think they're so fun. You don't really get to see independent Yuri manga very often. So when I saw this, it's like a workplace Yuri. I just love the style. It reminded me of all of the Yuris I've ever read. And again, the way to have Kickstarter grow is have different types of stories and different types of mediums onto the platform. So to have a queer manga on Kickstarter, I thought was really cool and important and very easy to back. Moving on to number 1, which is Epiphany Engine. And this is, honestly, this is such a great feat for Kickstarter. There's all these Black creators coming together to make this book. It was like, the amount of creators that are on this book is mind-blowing, and how they are accomplishing this book is so great to see. Again, how many hands are there? I can only imagine what's going on in the background to create that book. And it, you know, had a really big goal, and it met its goal, and there's just some wonderful creators on here, and I just thought it was just a wonderful idea for a comic, and it's exactly what the community of Kickstarter is all about, is to bring creators together and help each other out to make a product. And I feel like this comic in particular really, really showed that, which is why it's an easy number 1 for me. But let me know in the comments below, what are the Kickstarters you're most looking forward to back, what books you're backing right now, and hopefully you guys enjoy. This is Comic Uno, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.